This is what's wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Eric Wolf. Hey, I'm up at the Loon Preservation headquarters here up in Moultonborough. I'm talking to Harry Vogel. He's the director, maybe?
Senior biologist and director, yeah.
Yep, director. Harry, how did the New Hampshire loons fare this summer? Give us a loon update. This is September 8th, 2022. We had a drought this summer. Did that impact the loons? What is impacting our loons most? We know the lead is still an issue. Any other issues that we should be talking about? So how did our loons, and I can hear a loon in the background coming through the speakers. This can't get much better than this unless we're on the lake. But we're not on the lake, we're next best thing.
Yeah.
Give us the lowdown, Harry.
Yeah, so preliminary results are in. And we're still in this process of double checking and triple checking those results, but I can give you a sense of some of the general trends that happened. So I'm happy to say it was a good year for loons here in New Hampshire. So we set new records for territorial pairs of birds, and territorial pairs are it's a pair of loons that gets together for the season, will defend its lake from intruding loons and have at least the potential, the opportunity to breed and to contribute to that next generation.
So how many different lakes does that involve?
That involves more than 200 lakes at this point. So we were on 358 lakes, I think, throughout the state this year. Yeah, and not all of those lakes have loons, right? But all of them have the potential to have loons. Right. More of them will have loons in the future. And of those, there's only a subset, again, that have those loons. That was probably in the area of 220, although I need to check those numbers, Eric, But over 340 territorial pairs of loons.
Is that a new high?
This year. It is a new high.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's only about 15 pairs more than last year.
But nothing goes up and down much with loons,
right? That's right. Loons, because they have a long time until they begin to reproduce, and then their reproductive potential is low in any one year. So any growth in that population is going to be slow, painfully slow. And in fact, in the past decade, we've been seeing increases of maybe like 1.5% per year.
Okay. But it's in the right direction.
It is in the right direction, right? Yes. But that's despite intensive management. Right. So every year, and this year is no exception, we set new records for the number of rafts that we put out, to help loons on lakes with water level changes or shoreline development that displaces these birds from their traditional nesting sites. We put out a record number of signs and rope lines to help these birds. We're on our way to setting another record for in-person presentations and guided, loon tours and all that kind of stuff, as well as hugely increasing all of our social media stuff as well, because we're working in different ways to try and reach people with that. But so
it's happening because you, the Loon Committee, make it happen.
Well, we have a huge network of volunteers throughout the state.
Volunteers run everything that I know of, fishing game.
We
cannot do it without fishing game.
Without volunteers, right? And every year when we hire our new seasonal field biologists, and they're the ones that we send to all corners of the state to do this work, I'm always saying, like, a dozen people, no matter how gung-ho we are not going to save loons in New Hampshire.
Right.
An educated and motivated public is what's going to save loons in New Hampshire. And our volunteers are a big part of that. They're a multiplier for our small but dedicated staff, right? And
same with New Hampshire Audubon. Yep.
Sure, exactly.
Volunteers. Yep.
Right. So they spread our efforts throughout the state. Couldn't do it without them. Yeah.
But it's working.
And it is working, yeah. So nesting pairs were up. Nest success was good this year.
And so no flood outs because we had a dry summer.
Well, we had, right. Or at least far fewer flood outs than we had. We still had some loons, that were flooded, whether that's from boat wakes, these new wake boats.
Oh boy, I've been on Winnisquam and wakes. Experienced that. It's unbelievable the waves they make.
And these are things that can wash out, eggs out of a loon nest or flood a loon nest as well, but far fewer of those than last year. So last year we had a record warm June followed by a record wet July.
The deluge.
Both of things are terrible for a northern species. It's nesting at the water's edge. And so this year temperatures were a little bit cooler, at least during that prime nesting period, and it was a little bit drier. We didn't have the flood outs and things of that nature. Loons were able to take advantage of that and have a pretty good year. So new records for nesting loons, for chicks hatched and for chicks survived. survive
Nice.
this year, and we exceeded that all-important measure of the 0.48 chicks surviving per territorial
Okay.
pig. That's the number that we know that we need to hit
Okay.
as often as not if we want to have
Sustain.
a stable, sustainable loon population. And
Okay.
of course, we want to do more than that because we
Right.
want to continue to recover this
Right,
loon
right.
population.
So we have some lakes left that the
Yes.
loons can occupy.
Still a bunch of empty lakes out there that we figure ought to have loons on them that still don't.
So
we're gonna
lots
work
more
away.
work to be done
More work to be done.
by you and your cadre of volunteers.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Harry, for making it happen. Another successful year
Yeah.
here in New Hampshire with loons. Thank you very much, Harry.
You're
This
welcome,
is-
Eric.
Yeah, this is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire.